Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to our final day, final training inside of 31 to Thriving. What a month we've had. My fucking God. Like, these 31 days have been incredible, and I really wanted to just start off by taking a real moment to celebrate every single one of you for how you've been showing up, for the support that you've given each other, for how you've been cheerleading each other, how you've been just being there for each other. It has been incredible, and it is so nice to see such an incredible group of women come together in this space. Morning, Bonnie. Come together in this space and just be here for each other, support each other, and really cheerlead each other. I genuinely believe that when an incredible group of women come together, absolutely incredible things happen. So I really hope that you've loved connecting with each other throughout these 31 days. You've made some new contacts, new friends, new realizations, and all of the good things. And I really hope that the ripple effect after this is going to go on and on and on as well. Now, today we have our final group coaching call that we're obviously doing this morning, which is all about the mindset around money. And then I have one final audio for you that I'm going to pop in to your Telegram and onto the podcast later today. And then this space is complete. And I'm going to miss you all. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself because it's just been such a big part of my day every single day for the past 31 days. So I thank you. So today we're talking about your mindset and emotions around money. A lot of the work I do blends mindset and the strategic elements. It blends the self-belief with the strategy. It blends confidence with showing up. It blends the subconscious with sales. So much of it can be kind of categorized into mindset, money, and marketing. And I love bringing them all together and blending them all. And today's conversation is going to be the epitome of this. We're going to be really talking about the mindset and the strategy, how they come together, and what the most important things are that I have recognized over coaching the past however many years, 9 years, and the things that have the most massive transformation and the most massive shift in terms of the results you create. So, when I think about the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts and the things that generally hold women back from making more money, charging more, launching more, like having more clients in their world, it comes down to three core emotions. Number one is fear, number two is guilt, and number three is shame. We're going to pick every single one of these apart so that at the end of this session, if you recognize any of these things coming up, you can reclaim the power. You can reclaim the control over it. You can say to yourself, I'm recognizing this is coming up. This is a protection mechanism. This is trying to keep me safe, but not today. I don't need this today. This isn't something that's going to serve and support me today. I'm just going to make sure everyone's on mute. 1 second. So you can really start to recognize where these little things are creeping in. So the first step is fear. This shows itself in many ways. This could be fear of not knowing enough, not knowing how to manage growth, not knowing how to manage more money, more sales, more clients. This could be around putting your prices up. This could be fear of success, fear of failure. It could be fear of selling. It could be fear of showing up. It could be fear of storytelling. There are many different guises in which fear appears. And if any of them are coming up and seeming relevant for you, feel free to pop in the chat. You know, which one of these is the one that's kind of standing out the most for you? Now, I had a conversation with a client last week who is an incredible service provider. She's been in business 8 years. She is so talented. She's so passionate. She's a photographer. She is just incredible at what she does. And she was wanting to put her prices up. And she and I had a conversation, and she was basically just saying, no, Tara, I haven't put my prices up for 2 years. She's a relatively new client into my world. I haven't put my prices up for 2 years. I feel like I'm just overworked and underpaid. I feel like I'm at capacity. I can't make any more money because there aren't any more hours in the day. You know, being a photographer, she does kind of portrait and commercial photography. There's only a certain number of shoots she can do in a week or in a month. because the shoot requires so much time, the editing and delivery to the client, it all requires so much time. So when she and I picked this apart and actually really started to look at what was coming up for her, she had a fear around holding more. So she had a fear around putting the prices up and therefore holding more money, receiving more money, having more money, but also in terms of how she would then deliver a incredible service at that higher price point. But then we also actually looked at what her capacity was. And this is a conversation I think not enough people have. Your capacity in terms of how much money you can hold, how many sales you can have, just let somebody else in, how many clients you can have, the sales you can have, the number of people you can serve at any one time, the number of products you can have and sell and post. There will be a capacity for every single one of you. And it wasn't until I fell into the world of mindset that I actually really understood that. So your capacity is based upon so many things. It could be based upon your actual mental bandwidth and what you can actually hold in your mind. It could be based upon time, depending on your business and your business model. And it could actually be based upon your kind of energetic capacity when it comes to receiving sales and receiving money. So for me, when I started doing this work, I realized that my business was not set up in a way where I could actually hit the goals that I wanted to. I remember back in 2019, when I wanted to hit my first 10K month, I was charging £75 for a power hour. So in order to hit that goal, I think I would have had to do something like 140 power hours every single month without fail. And I was like, Jesus, I've already got clients, I've got my marketing business. Where, like, firstly, how am I going to have 140 clients a month? Like, whoa. And where's the time? And I realized that it just wasn't going to work. Like, they just wouldn't work together. So if I didn't look at this from a capacity perspective, I could have kept going for that 10K month goal and kept setting myself up to fail and getting resentful and be like, why isn't it working? So I am very open to magical things happening. Like you could have someone drop you a DM and land in your inbox tomorrow saying, I've got 5K, what can you do? Like that could happen. But there then does also have to be this very strategic and intentional element around this, really looking at your capacity. So at that point, when I realized that I have no intention of doing 140 power hours per month, bearing in mind I put like 6, 7 hours into every power hour, like it's physically impossible. I then actually looked at creating packages and I started to think about, well, how could I create packages instead of just having like a one-off thing? How could I create a package? So I created my first 8 week one-to-one program. It was £750. And I thought, right, with that, let's say I have 10 clients a month, there's 7.5K, well on the way to the 10K goal. So it was a tiny little capacity conversation that made me actually look at my offer suite, that made me then really think about how I could then serve more people and make more money. Now, this is where fear comes in. Did I have fear around charging £750 for something that I was brand new at doing? Absolutely. Did I have fear thinking, who the fuck is going to pay that? Absolutely. Because I hadn't paid that at that point. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like, I used to earn that in like half a month when I was a manager in hospitality. I used to earn £1,500 a month. And I was like, I used to slog my guts off for £750. And here I am trying to like get this for an 8 week program with 8 sessions. Like, yes, it felt uncomfortable. Yes, there was fear of being judged, fear of what other people were going to say. But in the back of my mind and actually in my heart, I knew that I could help somebody in 8 weeks. I knew that I could deliver an ROI for them. I knew deep down that I knew enough from my 4 years in business at that point to help people have a transformation in that time. So even though the fear was there, even though my mind was saying, who's going to pay that? Can you do that? Are you good enough? Are you worthy? You don't yet have any testimonials for an 8 week program. I kept tapping into this feeling of, I know I can help somebody. There will always be doubt. Since that day, there have been so many times when I've had doubt, when I've doubted myself. Like even recently with the planning of my event, like there are always times that it pops up. But your job in that situation and in that moment is to choose to let go of the doubt and to step into self-belief. Fear is always going to be present because fear is your mind and body's way of trying to protect you and keep you safe. So we have to recognize how fear might show up, but you can still move, you can still take action, you can still do what you want to do. I think one of the greatest things for confidence in women at any level in business is feeling the fear and taking the action anyway. That creates so much confidence. So recognize that fear might come up, recognize it's completely normal, recognize that actually, generally, when fear comes up, it's your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe. That's its primary job, is to keep you safe. And when it recognizes that you are being a badass and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and trying new things, it's like, oh my God, what's my human doing? Like, what is she doing? Why is she doing this like terrifying thing? What's going on? No, let's give her like a fear-based thought. Let's tell her something crazy might happen. Let's tell her, oh my gosh, what if it goes wrong? Let's give her all of those thoughts just to try and keep her safe. But in that specific situation, your mind tangles feeling uncomfortable with a lack of safety. It gets them confused. It doesn't know if you're just stepping out of your comfort zone or if there's a real threat to your life. And honestly, if you're doing something in business that feels uncomfortable, chances are it probably isn't a threat to your life. The first time you launch a podcast, the first time you write a book, the first time you go live on social media, the first time you create a TikTok, whatever it is, your mind might just think there's a threat to your life, but really it's just uncomfortable because it's new. So let's have a look and see what's coming up in the chat. No worries, Elizabeth. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, fear of lack of money. I can relate to that one, plus fear of putting my prices up, finding the right price to charge. Oh, I love putting my prices off. Start again. Oh, I love putting my prices up, but then I get scared no one will pay. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. We are going to go through all of this today. I love this. Let's make sure I can keep seeing the chat. So the fear is going to be there. There have been so many times I have felt it, but truthfully, fear dissolves through action. It dissolves through action. Whereas sometimes when you have fear and you can feel the fear going on, it almost paralyzes you into not taking any action. So, depending on what the fear is that's coming up, depending on what is becoming quite visible and prevalent for you, will depend on what the action actually is. But let's say you're wanting to tell your story on the internet. Let's say you're thinking, right, I know that I'm a great embodiment of the work I do. I want to tell my story, but I feel fear around it. What is Sarah that I went to school with 20, 30 years ago? What's she going to think? What's my mum going to think? What's somebody else going to think? What, Kiwi, we don't need you joining in. Kiwi, lie down, please. What is so and so going to think? What is, sorry, Kiwi, sorry. What is this person over here going to think? When you recognize that coming up, the action will dissolve the fear. So the action in that specific example is actually being able to say to yourself, Kiwi, just please. I'm sorry. Kiwi, lie down. Such a monkey. Dissolving that fear is then saying, I feel the fear about the storytelling. I feel the fear about showing up as I want to, but I'm going to take that action anyway. When you take that action despite the fear, you will create so much confidence. It is like wild. The next thing that comes up, especially around fear, is that what if I promote? What if I put my prices up? What if I launch this thing and nobody buys? That is so common. And do you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. But the way that I always look at this is if it happens, firstly, what can I learn from it? Because I have trained my brain that in every situation, I either win or I learn. And was I actually really showing up in my power? Because what happens so often is people will put their prices up and then they'll just leave them like dormant on their website. Or they'll put their prices up or launch the new thing and they'll mention it once on social media. Nobody buys, nobody inquires, and then they pull the plug and they stop promoting, they stop talking about what it is they do. So I think sometimes this is where we have to be really strict with ourselves and actually say, okay, I'm going to put my prices up or I'm going to launch this new thing, I'm going to promote this thing, and actually saying to yourself, and I'm going to commit to doing it 10 times. I'm going to commit to promoting that thing 10 times. That's like the bare minimum. Oh, that's the bare minimum of what is actually required to get your audience to actually see what it is you have, to start to remember your products and services, to start to remember what it is that you do. So many people will just post something once, nobody buys, they then resent their audience, they resent the product or service because they've promoted once and nobody bought, and then they feel fear the next time it comes to selling. They also then probably feel shame, which we'll come on to shortly. One of the greatest things that I did years ago was actually being able to stretch myself and keep promoting, keep selling, whether people were buying or not. When I think about the single like greatest actions that I have done that has built what I've built over the past couple of years, that is definitely one of them. Was it uncomfortable when some days I would promote, let's say I promoted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a certain offer and nobody bought on those 3 days? Yeah, of course it was. But I had to make sure that I was managing my mind so that my mind wasn't then shaming myself, beating myself up, resenting my audience, resenting the people watching my Instagram stories and not buying. And on Thursday, I was like, right, we go again. I look at it so logically, not emotionally. The more you can detach taking things personally, the more you can detach emotion from action, the better. We'll come onto this a little bit when we talk about the shame piece as well, but I think we have to be able to just almost look at these actions so logically. And it does take practice. It's taken me years to be able to do this and to be able to recognize that that's what is required. Now I'm like, okay, of course, when I show up, when I sell, when I promote, I'm doing it logically. Yes, there's care behind it. I care so deeply. Yes, I want it to work. Yes, I'm so optimistic, but I'm not tangling how good I feel, how successful I feel, how worthy I feel based on the result, which is absolutely key. So maybe looking into August, or if you've got school holidays and it's a bit crazy, maybe this is something you might want to do in September. This is actually something when we started the Thriving Summer of Sales yesterday that I've stretched everybody in there to do. But I want you to think about what the stretch is for you when it comes to promoting. Because I think if you can say to yourself, I'm going to promote every week, 3 times a week, or 5 times a week, or if you want to go really wild, every day in August, there's a challenge for you. That's what I'm going to be doing. That will absolutely help you recognize the fear and still take action. Recognize the fear and still be willing to take that action, show up, and still move despite the fear. Let's have a look what's coming up. Committing to promoting at least 10 times is doable. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, Gayatri says, I get bored when I am promoting and nobody buys or they change their mind. I think boredom is actually a good thing sometimes. I think so often we're always trying to chase this like massive high and this big dopamine hit. And I actually think that boredom is such a good thing because when you are in that place of boredom, you are probably in a very logical mindset. You aren't in that emotional, oh my God, I need to like promote and somebody buy. I actually think boredom can be a good thing. So don't like attach a negative emotion to that. Okay, Harriet, I've committed to promoting on both my businesses every day in August. I love that. Gayatri, I promoted daily. Amazing. More of this, please. More of this. Okay, the second emotion is guilt. Guilt around charging money is one of the most common things. Guilt around following up on invoices, guilt around selling, guilt around anything money related, especially if you are an empath like I am. I definitely am very sensitive at times. I take people's energy on. I care so deeply. I think a lot of people that are service based and also those that do really good. Like when you are a coach or a mentor or a therapist or a counselor, they are generally the people I think that find it hardest to charge because you actually just want to do good in the world. Like that is what you are here to do. But the way that I have always looked at it is I have built my business model in a way whereby no matter whether somebody has no money, you can still learn, i.e., this program, i.e., my podcast, i.e., my social media content. And then as I've created different offers, there are offers at different price points. There are offers at like £77 per month for my Mindset Club. There's one-off offers to like £111, right up to £20,000, and everything in between. So when you actually feel the guilt that's coming up and you want to be a good person, you want to do good, you don't necessarily care about money, you have to look at how you can then create different levels so that you have that brand and the brand awareness of people at different levels. Now, when we think about guilt, I think a lot of people feel like it can just be ignored, like it will be solved if you just ignore it. But truthfully, the greater thing to do is instead of just ignoring guilt, it's to replace it with a stronger, cleaner emotion. And that emotion is then grounded in action and being of service. So the way that I look at this is this. I know that I create a lot of incredible things in my free spaces. Like, I love that. I love being able to help a lot of people. I love pouring my heart into my podcast. I love, yes, Harriet, sales is service. It's almost like you've listened to me before. I love creating these spaces, bringing people together. I love doing all of those things. But I also know that if somebody has access to my personal phone number, my WhatsApp, can message me at any point and can message me like literally any time throughout the day. I can go back and forwards with them all day on WhatsApp. There has to be an investment at that. So when I think about this, and this is how I've built my business model, I created a triangle, and in that triangle, there were 4 layers. The bottom layer is the free space. So this is where the biggest group of people are. This is why it's like the biggest part of the triangle at the bottom. This is the biggest group of people. So this is my Instagram audience, my podcast listeners, spaces like this, my book, although that's not free, but it's basically where you can have the most amount of people. Next up would be low ticket. So this is almost like the second biggest space because in a low ticket program, I can have a lot of people. So when the Thriving Summer of Sales started yesterday, that's a low ticket program. 26 people signed up for that, and that's amazing. So there's slightly more volume in there. Next up is like the mid ticket. So this is something that could be around the 495, 997, £1,500, that sort of price point. And then right at the top, which is the smallest section on this triangle, is my high ticket. So that's my private one-to-one coaching and mentorship. The level of service that I give to people in my one-to-one, I could not do that to everybody in my free space. So when I look at my business model, when it's built like this, I know that the people that are in the top of the triangle, they do pay more. They are paying high three, four figures a month for that space because of the level of access that they get, the accessibility, the proximity that they get. So that then removes the guilt because I actually look at that and I know that that top tier offer is delivering such high level support, like unrivaled level of support. It's not just 2 coaching calls a month, it's all of the support between it. So I don't then feel guilty creating a 20k package because I know that actually there's still the free space. I still love my free space. I've still got £111 offers. I've still got something that's £77 per month. And then I'm so connected to the service. I also believe, and I think this program is bucking that trend, that people that pay attention. You guys have definitely bucked that trend, I will say. But when I'm thinking about the level of service that I want to offer, when I think about the lives that I want to change, I know that no matter what point people come in, whether they are in the free space at the bottom or in the one-to-one, like private mentorship space at the top, I know that they're still getting an incredible service. So when you think about replacing guilt with a stronger, cleaner emotion, something like connecting to the service of it is a really good thing to do. I don't ever see sales as just selling. I never think of it as like the numbers. I never think of it as like the Stripe transactions. I am always, always, always connected to what it means. So let's say somebody invests their first £111, they come into Thriving Summer of Sales, and that's like their first payment in my brand. I'm not thinking about, oh, great, I've had a £111 sale. I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman's life is about to change. Like, let's see how much magic we can create in the 4 weeks together. When a client signs up for 6 months one to one or 12 months one to one, again, I'm not just thinking about the Stripe transaction. I'm thinking, oh my God, what the fuck are we going to do together? Like, I am so connected to what that investment means. And I think that has massively helped remove the guilt around charging. Even if someone buys my book on Amazon, it's £12.95. Like, even when I get the little transaction notification on my email saying someone just bought your book, I'm like, yeah, oh my God. I get like 60% of that because Amazon just take a big chunk and it's fine, it is what it is. But even that, I'm like, oh my God, like that represents someone that's willing to change their life, that's willing to commit to themselves, that's willing to dream bigger, that's willing to do incredible things. That's what I'm connected to. And when you're so connected to what the transaction represents, it takes the guilt away. It takes not feeling good enough away. It takes seeing it as a transaction. I never, ever, ever, ever just see a Stripe transaction as just a Stripe transaction. Every single time I see a woman's email address that has made that transaction, I'm so excited for you. It's ridiculous. Every single fucking one. Even when I launched the Thriving Summer of Sales back in middle of June, and I did a crazy early bird of £11. 26 people bought it at £11. Every single one of those, I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking good. Like, I was so happy and celebrating it. And I think that celebration piece helps to take away the guilt. But again, it's not just celebrating the transaction, it's celebrating what it represents. So when you see every single sale, every single inquiry, every single transaction that comes through your Stripe, your PayPal, your bank, your Xero, whatever it is, when you see every single transaction and you actually connect to what it means, no matter what your product, no matter what your business is, whether it's product or service based, you can still do this. Connect to what it means. You know, one of my clients is she's got a gorgeous interior design business and she has very high-end products. Like some of her pieces are like 5K, like they're designer, high-end, like European quality, like incredible, incredible things. And we had a conversation about this, and she basically just said, but what does it represent? And I said, it represents the fact that somebody values designer products and it represents the fact that they really want to make their house a home. Like, I've never spent 5 grand on a rug, ever. I can't imagine doing it because I'm just not into rugs. But that being said, it still represents someone that is willing to create an incredible space. They want to have the most beautiful designer piece in their living room. Like, it's not just a transaction. And I think the more that we look at sales in terms of what it represents, the better. You know, if you do gorgeous wall throws through for the home, again, that's representing someone is making their home a really cozy space. Or they want to sit out in the evenings when the temperature drops and still like enjoy their space, enjoy their garden, but with a little cozy throw. You're creating an environment. It's never just the throw. Same if you do candles. I mean, I don't really like candles in the summer because I've always got all the windows and doors open. But in the winter, that isn't just a candle, it's creating an ambiance. It smells divine, it's cozy, it twinkles, it's beautiful. Like, it's never just a product, it's never just a service, but it's what it represents. Now, I also want you to think about undercharging because, again, this is something that comes up quite often. And I think a lot of women undercharge because of guilt. But when you undercharge because of guilt, it's quite easy to end up resenting your clients because suddenly the client that you have undercharged for, or the client that you did like a bargain price for, or a special price or a discount for, suddenly ends up taking so much of your time, so much of your energy, so much of your bandwidth. And in doing so, you're then constantly slipping into this energy of resentment. I've had so many clients that have fallen into this trap. And honestly, when I started coaching, I think I did to some extent as well, because I was suddenly trying to help everybody for £75, putting like 7, 8 hours into this 1 power hour. And I just found myself thinking, I can't keep doing this. Like, I cannot keep doing this. It was a great price to start when I was brand new to coaching in 2017, and I had no idea what to charge, didn't know anything about pricing, didn't know anything about money mindset. It worked for a while. But then it got to a point I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I literally can't keep doing this. You also then limit who you can help. And again, when you've got a offer suite and you've got a business model that's built in a way whereby you have different things at different price points, you're really expanding who you can help and the amount of people you can help. Charging well actually allows you to deliver better quality of work, you to live a better quality of life, cleaner, clearer boundaries, and it enables you to be in it for the long haul. Longevity is so important in business, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. So I want you to have a little think about this and just start to recognize if guilt is coming up, whether it's for charging at all, if it's for undercharging, if you feel like you're overcharging, and we've just got to clean up that energy. The next, this is the biggest piece. This is like a big, big, big piece. The next is shame. Shaming your current money situation will never help you create more. I have struggled with this one a lot over the years. I will be very honest. Shame is you feeling like you should be further along, you feeling like you're not good enough, you feeling like so and so is better than you. Truthfully, the only way to override shame is through kindness and compassion. If you are shaming yourself because you feel like you should be further along, if you are shaming yourself because we're just over halfway through the year and you haven't yet hit the goal that you set for 2026, if you're shaming yourself because you didn't hit your January goal, January, Jesus Christ, it's not January, your July goal. If you're shaming yourself because you didn't do what you said you were going to do, if you're shaming yourself because a client left, if you're shaming yourself because a client didn't resign, that is the lowest energy of all of the energies. Shame is literally the lowest frequency of all of the emotions. There's a really great diagram that you can look up called the map of consciousness. And basically, this map of consciousness, I should have like pre-opened it. I'll pop it in the Telegram after. It basically describes emotions based on their energetic frequency. Right at the very top, you've got things like gratitude, joy, love, optimism's really high as well. About midway down, you've got things like acceptance and courage and being content. And down the bottom, you have fear, guilt, and shame. Shame is the lowest level emotion there is. You know how it feels in your body. It feels fucking horrible. Like when you're shaming yourself, it feels heavy. You feel like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. You can probably feel it in your heart or in your chest or in the pit of your stomach. Some people feel it in their head and like in their third eye. It just feels horrible. Imagine trying to go for a run or go work out or do something really energetic when you are like encompassed by shame, when shame is coursing through your body. I know, and I'm not a big runner, like I'm really not, but I know on the days that I feel like so fucking grateful, I feel optimistic, I feel enthusiastic, I feel joyful, I feel like I love my life, I love my business, I love my dog, I love myself. I feel I've got so much energy. I'm like, I need to go for a run. Whereas historically, on the days when I'm shaming myself and I'm beating myself up and I'm feeling like I should be further along and I'm comparing myself to every other bitch on the internet and I'm just not feeling good about my current results, Do I have the energy to do anything? No. I don't even want to go for a walk. Yes, sod the shoulds. Shoulds are not welcome. Shoulds are banned. You can say any word in my world. You can swear like a fucking banshee, but should is banned, okay? We do not should on ourselves ever. Shame is such a low level emotion. And here's how I want you to almost look at and compartmentalize fear, guilt, and shame. Fear says something bad might happen. That's based on action, it's based on result, it's based on external circumstances, it's based on things outside of you. Fear is something bad might happen. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shit. I feel guilty for charging. I feel guilty for putting my prices up. I shouldn't have charged X, Y, and Z. I shouldn't have put my prices up. Remember, we're not allowed to should on ourselves. I did something wrong. I feel guilty because I did something wrong. Shame, sneaky fucker, says there's something wrong with me. That's when it's in your identity. That's when it's in your belief system in your mind. That's when it's at your fucking core. So, this is why we have to be so mindful around the emotions that come up around the actions that we're doing in business. Because if you are shaming yourself over your current results, feeling like you should be further along, feeling like you should have more savings, feeling like you should have, achieved X, Y, and Z by now, feeling like you should have done whatever you said you were going to do, all of these shoulds, when you start shaming yourself, you're telling yourself there's something wrong with me. Can you create a thriving business when your standard like operating mode is there's something wrong with me? No. Harriet says it's shaming how far you've come and almost dismissing everything you've already achieved. I will be very honest. Last year, when I had my 10-year anniversary in business, my shaming was probably at an all-time high because I was like, I've done a decade. Like most people don't survive a decade. Like it's just facts. I felt like I should be further along. I was like, I should have done like a 7-figure year by now. Had like multiple 6-figure years, but hadn't ever done the pivotal 7-figure. And I was like, I should have done it by now. Like some people will suddenly appear in like year one, they're like, oh, I've done 16 bajillion dollars. Like, okay, cool. I was shaming myself, but I had to override this. I had to take control of that thought because I knew that I could not go into my 11th year shaming myself. My brain tried to do it. This time last month when I was celebrating my 11-year anniversary, I was like, don't you fucking do not go there. We are not having this brain. But it tries to go there because it's like, well, 11 years. You're still not a millionaire. Probably done it in total in 11 years, but definitely not in 1 year. And it was still trying to shame me. And when I reminded myself that when shame appears, it's saying there's something wrong with me, I had to then give myself the evidence of all I have achieved. Your brain loves evidence. Like it loves it. When you have a thought, your brain basically goes into its memory bank to find evidence and memories to back up the thought. If you want to do something and it feels really uncomfortable, you have duality of thoughts. You have the good thought and then you have the negative thought. And your brain will go into the memory bank and find evidence based on which thought you're having. Your brain loves evidence. So play it at its own game. Give it evidence that you are an absolute fucking badass. Give it evidence that you've already done incredible things. Give it evidence that you're still in business. You're still here. You're still showing up. You've still got this fire inside of you. You've still got this drive, this determination, this desire. Give it the evidence of the clients that have stayed in your world a really long time. This is one of the ones that I give myself evidence of regularly because a lot of people stay in my world a really long time. Like I've got a marketing client that's been a client for 10 and a half years. He was my third ever client. And when I decided to go into coaching, he was like, "Can I just stay?" I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." He's got an interior design business. It's cool. He's a dream client. He's easy. I'm like, "Yeah, of course you can." But little things like that need celebrating. Even if you've got a client that's been with you 6 months and she's re-signed twice, even if you've got a client that's been with you a year or 2 years, still celebrate that. Because it's so easy for us to just brush that under the carpet and not celebrate those things. But honestly, the only way to override shame is with compassion for yourself and kindness to yourself. So when you want to override the shame, you have to be kind to yourself and you have to have compassion for where you're at. It is so easy for us to compare ourselves to where we thought we'd be by now, to where we thought we'd be at the end of July 2026, based on the goals we set for the year. So easy to compare yourself to somebody else in this group, somebody else in the Thrive membership, if you're in there, somebody else on the internet. It's so easy. But you are on your own very unique journey. Very, very, very unique journey. And I want you to be able to celebrate that. I really do. And anytime you recognize the shaming creeps in and then the shoulds creep in, always change the word should to could. I should be further along by now. I should have more savings. I should have more clients. I should have lost more weight. I should have posted on Instagram every day this month. In every single one of those, when you change the word should to could, you're then not in this comparisonitis energy. I could be further along. I could have more savings. I could have lost more weight. I could have more clients. I could have posted every day this month. Just changing that one word changes the whole context of that sentence. And then when you change that context and you go from should to could, and then you shift from shame to compassion, all the S's to C's, then you're getting yourself back into a positive energy. So let's have a look at the comments. I can see lots of people popping in the chat. Sod the shoulds. Yes, yes, yes. Harriet says, my client who has just closed her business due to retirement, which has floored me, has been with me the longest since June 2022. 4 years and 1 month with one client, and the only reason she's left is because she's retiring. Fair play to her. Like, fair play to her. You've got to look at that in a really positive way. It's not like she's gone somewhere else, and after 4 years and 1 month, she's like, you're not good enough, I'm going somewhere else. Like, she's retired. Fair fucking play to the woman. So just make sure that you're looking at from a really positive perspective. This is not a you thing. This is a situational thing. So if we are then letting a situational thing create shame, again, we're slipping into that identity of there's something wrong with me. There is nothing, and I mean nothing wrong with you, especially in this situation. Nadia says, such a good reminder. I have to remind myself most days that every month since I have been self-employed, I've paid all my bills. Yay! And that's huge. Like, that is so massive. Like, that's huge. And yet it's so easy to brush it under the carpet, isn't it? It's so easy to be like, meh, I'm not making enough money, or I haven't got enough people coming to my networking group, or I haven't done X, Y, and Z yet. That is huge. Paying your own bills since you went self-employed is huge. Absolutely huge. Massive celebrations for that one. And she says, and I had my very first client when I was on my clinical training placement in 2022, reach out 6 weeks ago and asked to work with me in my private practice. Yay! I love that. And do you know, I love that this happens because sometimes we will have a connection with somebody and for whatever reason, they go on their own little path. I've had it with clients before. And I think last year, when I started to tell my story about divorce, rock bottom, a narcissist, losing my horse, like all of the fucking shit things that happened, and I started telling that story from a place of vulnerable visibility and making other people realize that sometimes you go through shit, but you can get through it. You can get through anything. I had so many clients who used to be clients come back. And I think that is really important as well. So many people just want all of the new sales and new clients. But one of my greatest focuses throughout my entire business has been people staying in my world. And if they leave, they come back. Very, very, very like the most teeny tiny little like 0.5% of people don't, and that's fine. The vast majority of people keep coming back. And that is so paramount in business and in building a brand. So I'm celebrating that massively, Nadia. Harriet says, I could have done it and what held me back? Ooh, love it. Yes. Because sometimes we start to shame ourselves. Let's say you said for the whole month of July that you were going to post every day on Instagram. That was your stretch challenge at the beginning of the month. You were like, that's what I'm going to do. And now you're like, oh, fuck, it didn't happen. I didn't post every day. I missed a few days. When that shame starts to creep in, this is where I want you to look at it logically, not emotionally, and say, I could have posted every day throughout this month, but I didn't. What can I learn from that? Why didn't I? What you then might find is that there's a reason that you didn't, such as your daughter was ill on a couple of days, and those were the only days you missed. Or maybe you had a real personal challenge behind the scenes one day, or you were ill, or completely wiped out. And you thought, actually, sometimes it's better not to post than to post a shit piece of content. Like, there are some days that I miss every now and again because I'm so exhausted or I've got so much going on. Like, I don't want to put something out that's crap. I just don't. Like, I'd rather wait until the next day and the next morning spend an hour creating really good quality piece of content. So always look at what you could have done instead. Bonnie says, I need to be the same kind of cheerleader for myself that I am regularly for my clients. Fucking meant to that. I'm sure a lot of people will relate to that. This has been a big learning for me this year. The way I look at it, let's say a client of yours was going through a tough time, or let's say your best friend was going through a tough time, and she had just been navigating a whole bunch of things and she started shaming herself. What would you say to her? Or what would you say to him? Would you say, yeah, you're shit? There really is something wrong with you. Like, why are you such a dick? Like, why are you so awful? You just wouldn't. You just wouldn't. So I always think about that when my brain tries to be a bit naughty to me, if it tries to put too much self-doubt in, or if it tries to shame me. I'm like, no, no, no. What would I say to any of my clients? What would I say to any of the women in my world? What would I say to any of you guys in 31 to Thriving? Let's say one of you put something in the Telegram. I wouldn't be like, yeah, you're shit. There's something wrong with you. I'd be like, let's look at what went well. Let's look at celebrating your action. Let's reframe this in some way. You would be so kind to your child, to your partner, if you like them, to your friend, to your clients, to your dog. Like, you would just be so kind to all of these people because you're good-hearted humans. We need to approach ourselves with that same level of kindness and compassion. I always say to my clients, your mind can either be your greatest cheerleader or it can be your most destructive asset. I want your mind to cheer you on. I want it to look for these incredible wins. I want it to look for the evidence that you are so good at what you do. I want it to have your back because the truth is, your mind can either have your back or hold you back. The choice is the thoughts that you let happen. But he says, I have one client who's worked with me at various points over time for at least 10 years. Yay, that's amazing. That's such a good piece of content as well. Let's say you have a call with that client next week, or you just had this realization. You create a post that says, I've just had a realization. I've got one incredible client who's been with me on and off for 10 years, at least 10 years. That shows that people stay in your world a long time. That shows that your clients really value working with you. Like, anybody that has any example of that, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 10 years, every single one of you needs to create that piece of content, no matter what your business is. Every single one of you can create that piece of content today because it shows that people stay in your world. People do not stay in your world if they don't have a good experience. The facts are facts. So when people stay, it's proof that they are having a good experience. Leverage that. Leverage that on social media. So the fear says something bad might happen. Guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says there's something wrong with me. There are three waves that override all of these. Number one is gratitude. Gratitude seems so simple and so underrated. Oh yeah, just be grateful. Just say three things you're grateful for each day. But the reason that it works is because so often fear comes up when you're uncertain about more, you're uncertain about your next level. And when fear creeps in, when you're already at a certain level, gratitudes enable you to actually have gratitude for what you already have. So when you have gratitude and you're in a real state of feeling gratitude, you actually can't feel a negative emotion as well. If you're really feeling grateful, and I always do this when I go for my morning walk. So, I mean, this heat wave, I've been living for it. I really have. When I go for a walk in the morning and there's just a bright blue sky, I just look up at the sky. I always love looking up at the sky. I feel it really like connects me with the universe. And when I look up at the sky, and I just feel so much gratitude. And I say to myself, I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for my little dog. I'm so grateful for my legs that enable me to like get all my steps in. So grateful for my ears that enable me to listen to podcasts and music. I'm so grateful for my eyes that let me see the sun, let me see the sky. And I just get myself into this real place of gratitude. I can't be feeling fearful at the same time. You cannot feel a negative emotion when you're actually feeling grateful. So gratitude works because it shifts you out of fear and it helps you find gratitude for what you have today. One of the greatest things that you can balance is having gratitude for where you're at right now and desiring more. But I think so many people are so focused on desiring more without having gratitude for where they're at now. And when they're only focused on what they desire and they're only focused on where they're going and the desiring of more, generally they're actually in lack because you recognize that you want this thing over here, you don't have it now, and therefore you feel lack or you don't feel good enough or you feel fearful because you don't have this pivotal thing up here. You put this thing over here on a pedestal. And when it's on a pedestal, it's almost like it's at a different level to you. I'm 5'10", and I imagine if I put something on a pedestal, let's say I put something on a 12-foot pedestal, it's like it's disconnected from me because it's all the way up there. I can't reach it. Do I want to climb up this pedestal? Probably not. Used to like climbing trees when I was like 6, but not anymore. Don't want to break a nail. Don't want to fall out. So when we put something up on a pedestal, we're almost saying like, well, I'll be happy when. When I get that thing that's 12 feet up in the air, then I'll be happy. But what happens is that gap between where you are and this 12-foot in the air plinth, that just keeps going. So you get on the top of the plinth, and then there's another one that's 24 feet up in the air. The gratitude for where you're at now, whilst also desiring more, is one of the greatest energetic frequencies you can get into because it just keeps you in this real good, clean energy. Gratitude for where you're at now also really helps eradicate that shame because that shame is saying there's something wrong with me. That shame is saying I'm not good enough. That shame is saying, I should be further along. Whereas when you have gratitude for where you're at right now, you're taking a moment to actually be proud of yourself. Just that little act of being proud of yourself helps to release that shame. When I do my morning routine every day, there's a question in my morning routine notepad that says, how do I want to feel at the end of the day? And I would say every single day for the past 13 months, I've written that at the end of the day, I want to feel proud and accomplished. And I think that's such a simple sentence. But I then almost set this standard for myself that throughout my day, I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to show up as best as I can, I'm going to be as productive as I can. And then at the end of the day, when I do like my evening gratitudes and listen to like a guided meditation to try and switch my brain off before I fall asleep, I actually always say to myself, I'm proud of today. No matter what I've done, whether it's been like a really intense day of coaching calls, whether it's been the final day of this program, whether it's been a day of mincing about and pottering around at home like I plan to do tomorrow, I'm still going to be proud of myself because I know that I'm still taking actions every single day in alignment with who I want to become. So gratitude is so powerful, but make sure that as you go on from this space and as you go into August and beyond, just keep reminding yourself of the importance and the power of having gratitude for where you're at now and still holding the desire for more, because then you are not in a negative frequency. Whereas when the gratitude isn't there and you're just focusing on what you desire, so often you're in lack. You cannot manifest a positive outcome out of lack. The next piece is kindness and compassion for yourself. Again, that can override fear because when that fear of success or the fear of failure or the fear of selling shows up or the fear of what if something bad happens shows up, you can recognize that it's just a protection mechanism. That's all it is. It's your brain doing its job and trying to keep you safe. You need to detangle uncomfort or discomfort, feeling uncomfortable with a lack of safety and say, I can do this one thing. Like, I'm good. We're going to be okay. Brain, we're safe. We're good. I only want to go live on Instagram. It's not that hard. So you can detangle those two, have kindness and compassion for yourself in terms of recognizing that fear is completely normal. Imposter syndrome is completely normal. Like those two were almost things that are just dead cert, they're always going to be there. And they show up when you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That's it. Kindness and compassion. Kiwi crumble. She's being very vocal today. Kindness and compassion for yourself over where you're at right now, over your current results. So important. And then the final piece, I'm sure we've already shared this in this program, but it's called the pattern interrupt. This is your way of managing your thoughts. This is the saying, cancel, cancel, cancel. I think Kiwi is agreeing with me, let's be honest. She gets very vocal sometimes. She's like, yeah, mummy, this is great. Kiwi, do you do kindness? Yeah, she's very kind and compassionate to herself. Pattern interrupt is managing your thoughts. So when the fear-based thought creeps in, you recognize it. You say, not today. Not today, Tara Brain. Cancel, cancel, cancel. And you replace it with a positive thought that serves and supports you. When the guilt creeps in, oh God, I need to send this invoice and I feel guilty. Recognize it. You're like, no, cancel, cancel, cancel. I get to be well paid for the work I do. An affirmation / mantra that I love, and this is from Amanda Frances, the money queen, is my work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. I first worked with her in 2021, and honestly, that has been such a mantra over the past 5 years because your work is of high service. It is worthy of massive compensation. So when you have, yes, so my work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. My work is of high service and worthy of massive compensation. Amanda Frances. So the pattern interrupt is your way of controlling your thoughts. Your thoughts are not all truth. They are not all the absolute reality. Sometimes they are just sneaky fuckers that are just trying to keep you safe. They're trying to keep you in a little box. They're trying to keep you in the comfort cave. You can step out of the comfort cave. You can do like uncomfortable things. You can feel fear and still move. You can feel uncomfortable and still push yourself. You can still do all of these things. So the pattern interrupt controls your thoughts. It lets go of those negative thoughts and it basically stops that negative thought in its tracks. You say cancel, 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 replace it with a positive thought. And actually over time, your brain gets bored of giving you negative thoughts because it knows you're just going to cancel it. So it just stops. Like it just stops giving you all the bullshit thoughts because it's, oh, it's only gonna like knock the thought away. So why bother? So those are your three main things for overriding not just fear, guilt, and shame, but any negative emotion that comes up, any negative thought that actually isn't serving and supporting you. Gayatri says, I use the cancel process. Jenny, I like the cancel, cancel, cancel. It's so powerful. This is an NLP technique. And honestly, it is so underrated. I have probably shared this technique the most out of all of the techniques and things that I've done with all my qualifications. This is so simple. It's so profound. It is the simplest way to take control of your thoughts. Because when you take control of your thoughts, it really does work. Yes, it really does. When you take control of your thoughts, your mind is your cheerleader. It is your greatest asset. It does have your back. It's not there being destructive, holding you back, being just an awful thing to you. The one relationship you have forever is with yourself and with your mind. You are in your head for the rest of your fucking life. Like, make it a good place. Make it have incredible thoughts that serve and support you. Make it have your back. Manage those thoughts. Let go of the fear. Let go of the shame. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the self-doubt. They're completely, completely normal. But they do not mean anything about you. They do not have to prove that there's something wrong with you. They do not mean that you can't create an incredible, thriving business. They do not mean that you can't become a thriving businesswoman. They're just a protection mechanism. And when you view these unwanted thoughts as purely that, you're back in the driver's seat. You have the control, you have the power. I want you to be in the driver's seat of your own life, of your mind, of your sales, of how you feel, because you do have complete control over these things. Bonnie says, I just thought of our brains as like a feed on social media. It serves us certain messages, but it can adapt depending on what we focus on. 100%. The reticular activating system that we spoke about, I think it was in session one, is your brain's own filtering system. And it literally brings things into your reality based on what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on shaming yourself, not feeling good enough, if you're focusing on lack, if you're focusing on people aren't spending money right now, that filtering system is going to look for bits of data, bits of evidence, bits of information, things on social media in alignment with that. This is how people get stuck in a rut. I remember hearing, and I cannot remember for the life of me what book it was in. Might be Think and Grow Rich. I might be wrong on that one. Do not quote me on that. But there was a book, and there was a great analogy that basically just said every single one of us has two wolves living in our mind. And this young guy says to this philosopher man that was telling him this story, he said, well, which wolf survives? And he said, young man, the wolf you feed. If you are feeding the negative wolf with thoughts, with content, with news, with shit that doesn't serve and support you, that negative wolf is going to survive. Only one of those wolves can survive in your mind. But if you're feeding the positive wolf, the wolf that is your cheerleader, the wolf that has your back, the wolf that is protecting you, serving you, supporting you, that's the one that you feed. That's the one that survives. Really intrigued which book this was now. You need to look it up and find out. But it's such a powerful analogy because every single one of us will have, Bonnie says, I've heard that before too. Every single one of us will have the good wolf and the bad wolf, good cop, bad cop, the positive part of our mind and the negative part of our mind. Every single one of us has that. You know, I've been doing mindset work since October 2018, and there are still the days that I doubt myself. There are still the days that that naughty wolf tries to creep in. I'm like, get fucked. Like, no, it's not happening. There are still days that the shame tries to creep in, but I do not let it be my dominant thing. I do not let it be my dominant frequency, my dominant thoughts. I do not let it. And I do not let it through the pattern interrupt, kindness and compassion to myself, and gratitudes. Those three things, I think, with all of the modalities, techniques, all of the things that I've ever done with mindset, particularly around money and sales, those three are really powerful. So, really think about this. Remember, if you haven't already written this down, fear says something bad might happen. Should I put it in the chat? Guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says there's something wrong with me. Take control of these things. These things are just emotions. Emotions very simply are energy and motion. Look at the motion piece of that. If that emotion has come into your body for whatever reason, it's energy and motion. It can move. It has motion. It can move out of you again. These things are not set in stone. They are not part of your identity. They do not have to be your baseline. They are just emotions. So I want you to really think about this from a sales and money perspective. Your relationship with your sales will be about 5 more minutes and then we'll wrap up. Your relationship with money, your relationship with your sales is so important. It really, really, really is. When I think about the most transformative work that I have done on myself, it has been money mindset work. It has been my relationship with sales, learning to sell, and my relationship with money. You are an incredible business owner. Every single one of you has such an incredible vibe, such an incredible personality. You have big dreams. You want to do good in this world. Like you really, really, really do. I can see it. I can feel it. I can tell by the incredible things you've shared in the Telegram or in the Facebook group. Facebook group is definitely lacking. I won't lie. Telegram, you are like on it, but Facebook group people need to up their game. But when I see what is shared, I'm like, you are all just so incredible. And my greatest wish is that you can achieve what you desire and more. Like, I want you to blow your own mind. I have achieved so many things in my life, well, particularly in my business over the past few years, that there's a version of me that couldn't have even imagined doing that, achieving that. And it's all because of the work that I've done on my mind and in building my brand. So I want you to fall in love with sales and selling. It is so important. But reframe sales as being of service. really look at how you selling is you just serving your audience and really giving people an opportunity to learn from you, to experience your beautiful products, to experience what it is that you offer. Sales is simply being of service. But I think so many women have a really funky relationship with sales and selling. I used to hate it. I used to be awful at it. I would clam up on a Zoom call. I wouldn't want to say my price. I'd always think, oh my God, should I just lower my prices? Should I just give a discount? I would feel guilty for charging what I wanted to charge. Felt fear around someone saying no, fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is like the greatest fear on the planet. I would shame myself if I didn't get the client. But honestly, cleaning up my energy, cleaning up my mindset, learning how to sell has been transformative. So, Bonnie says, I've really enjoyed the Telegram channel and liked how it's organized into categories and your audio trainings. Thank you, Bonnie. First time I've done the little categories like that, and I think it works perfectly. So I'm so pleased that you enjoyed it as well. So, do we have any final comments, questions? If anyone wants to unmute themselves and come up and just share any comments, thoughts, questions at all, now is your time to do so before we wrap up our final Zoom call. Gayatri says, thank you so much, Tara, and everyone in the group. Honestly, you are all incredible. The vibe in the Telegram, the support that you offer each other is just incredible. Yeah, the Telegram will stay open. You get lifetime access to the audio trainings, you get lifetime access to the Zoom replays. You can still chat with each other in there. I just won't obviously be in there every single day chatting away to you all. Would anybody like to unmute and share any thoughts, comments, questions before we wrap up this training? Nadia says, just purchasing my September event day ticket as I type. Yay, my watch just buzzed. I wonder if that was it. See you in September. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Magnificent Mindset Live. Celebrating you, Nadia. Oh my God, man. Magnificent Mindset Live is going to be so good. Unlike any event I've ever done. Like what I have planned is just amazing. So Gayatri says, I found it very helpful. God, I'm going to miss you all so much. Jenny, so grateful for this and thank you. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So,
Thank you, Tara. Just thought to come on and actually be of another voice in the space. So yeah, thank you so much.
you're so welcome. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you all so much for being here, for being so incredible. I'm going to drop one final audio into the Telegram channel shortly, might be this afternoon. But keep being amazing. Keep doing this work, keep supporting each other, celebrating each other, keep plugged into the trainings, the podcast, all of the things. And I very much look forward to seeing you wherever I see you, wherever we hang out on the internet. And I hope to see you all very, very soon. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Bye, everybody. Or Jenny, drop me a message. I'll send you the link for the Telegram channel. We'll get you in there. Bye, everybody.